Alright, so now for this video, we're gonna have to go to the undisputed king of items, Ace. This is gonna be a survivor item ranking power list. I want you to pay close attention to a lot of these items. Alright? Hear me out on this. A lot of these items are the same fucking thing! Now that we've gotten out of the way, let's begin. These are your seasonal things. We're not really going to talk about this. The Will-O-Wisp flashlight is the exact same, I believe, as the green flashlight. Yeah, it's the green flashlight. And the All Hallows Eve lunchbox with the 24 charges is a green med kit. So, that's the first thing to mention. Okay, those two items we are not talking about. We will talk about Chinese Firecracker and the Winter Party Starter, but for now, I want to talk about some of the subsets. I will, like, for example, I will talk about the Engineer's Toolbox, I will be talking about Alex's Toolbox, I will be talking about the Commodious Toolbox, we're talking about Green Key, Dull Key, Skeleton Key. So we're going to start first off by comparing items in each subset, and then we're going to rank them against each other. So the first thing that you want to mention is the flashlight. Now, what is the flashlight used for? Based off your bio, you got no clue. A standard flashlight can be used to light your way in the darkness. Do not fucking believe that. The way a flashlight works is you are using it to blind the killer. So, I have props. I do have props. I have an actual flashlight. Yeah, I have a flashlight. Ah! Ah! So forth. So this is exactly how you use the flashlight in Dead by Daylight. So, you're gonna be the killer, and I'm gonna be the survivor. So you run up to me, and I go, blah! 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 Now, we're done with the flashlight. For the rest of what I have to, like, put up a warning that, warning, bright light seizures may occur, and stuff like that. So, you've been warned after the fact. Bright light seizures may have occurred, you know. Trained professionals. I'm a trained professional at using a flashlight. I have years. I've honed my experience. I have years of flashlight training. Well, is there any real difference between a yellow flashlight and a green flashlight? Well, the green flashlight has slightly less accuracy, but it decreases the battery. And slightly less, slightly more battery life. There's no real difference between these two. It really comes down to minor performance. And then this is where you get to the big one where you have slightly reduced accuracy, but it has a lot more brightness to it, and it has a lot more usage to it. So obviously you're going to want to go for your purple flashlight, so we'll be talking about that one later on. The next item that I do want to talk about is, we're talking about maps. Now, there are two types of maps. There is just the map, and there's the rainbow map. Now, the regular map is kind of shit. It works for 20 seconds, and basically anytime you walk by something, it marks it on the map. And basically, it allows you to start with one generator automatically tracked so you can find it. This is definitely good for Laurie's Memorial. And then you can track generators within 8 meters. But you really, unless you're on Laurie's, like I said, you don't really need that big help. The map really comes into its own with add-ons. And that's really the problem with the map. I think it's one of the weakest items in the game, is you have to put add-ons. Now, there are very good add-ons. So, the map addendum, there's a better one. The yellow wire is unique. It's not really great, but it is kind of helpful. You have the unusual stamp, which is incredibly powerful. It's not as strong as the odd stamp, but it does increase the range. That's very effective. Retardant jelly slows the burn rate of the map. You really only want to run one of these. You're either going for a slow burning map, or you're going for a max reveal map. You have the red twine that lets you track the killer's belongings. Don't get fooled by this. This is actually one of the worst map add-ons in the game because of the fact that it reveals hooks. And that's pretty much what it's going to reveal for you. Hooks and maybe a couple of other things, like traps if it's a trapper, jigsaw traps if it's a pig. But that's about it. It doesn't do anything for Wraith. It doesn't do anything for Billy. It doesn't do anything. It does work with the Hag. I don't think it works with the Doctor. I don't think it does. It might. I haven't tested that. Food for thought. You have the glass bead. Now, this is a unique one. So this unlocks the marker ability on second action, where all the survivors can see the marker. But it's not as powerful as the rainbow map. You have the odd stamp, which is a better version of the unusual stamp. The black silk cord, which is incredibly good. This lets you find the hatch, and that's pretty much what you bring this for. And then the crystal bead, where the gears controlling the lens focus themselves. This makes it so every survivor sees the aura generated by the map. Now, this can be a bit of an annoyance sometimes if you have somebody spamming it, but the crystal bead and the retardant jelly is a good combo. Crystal bead and odd stamp is a good combo. Black silk cord is good. I would stay away from the glass bead, the red twine, the map amendum, yellow wire if you have nothing else. Yellow wire is better than that. But this is your general 6 that you want to stick with. But the map is useless unless you have any of these add-ons, to be honest. So the map is quite shit. However, you have the rainbow map, which is much superior, because you get 3 objects that are tracked, and it lets you track all of them. Hatches, killer belongings, exit gates, and objectives, which are generators, within 8 meters. And then, basically, you can just, because it tracks all of those things, you don't have to put on the red twine, the yellow wire, or the black silk cord. This just means that you have to decide between what you are putting on. So, crystal bead, a retardant jelly, an odd stamp, or maybe a map, the map addendum. I don't think that's a great add-on. Like I said, I would rather go with the retardant jelly than the actual add-on to get more time. But the map is also a very situational thing. You're pretty much only going to be using it if somebody has a key. Now, we'll use this to segue into the key. Well, let's talk about the keys. First off, let's talk about this piece of shit right here. The broken key, also known as the most useless fucking thing in the game. If you have a green key, do yourself a favor. Equip it, equip as many shit add-ons that you have, and bring it into the game and drop it. Now, the broken key is what the key add-ons are designed for. Other than these 2 add-ons right here, the rest of which are utterly useless on a green key. Do not be wasting milky glasses or weaved rings on green keys. Just don't do it. What you're going to want to be doing is you're going to want to bring these items into the game on a key, and it basically lets you have a free ability slot. So you have the prayer rope, which is 10 seconds, and the prayer beads, which are 15 seconds. So this gives you respectively 20 or 25 seconds of use out of the key. Now, these by themselves do nothing. You cannot use the key on anything unless you have a few things. First off, these 2 add-ons are the same. They're just better version. One's a better version. You have the eroded token, which is basically bond, and the gold token, which is actually superior to bond. So these let you reveal survivors within a 48-meter range. That's a pretty good reveal range. One problem with this, it's shit. Don't bring a key for that. Run bond. Next problem is this, which is the Scratch Pearl. This just increases the range of the key's reading ability. This is not really going to work well with these. I wouldn't recommend them. You want to use it with the Blood Ember. The Blood Ember is the big one. So this reveals the killer's aura when within 32 meters at great expense of the key's energy. What that means is it consumes 2 seconds instead of 1 second. So if you are running a prayer rope on a green key, you are basically getting a green key. So a prayer rope and a blood amber gives you 10 seconds of a killer reveal. That's the key. Pretty much that is what the green key is good for, is a blood amber and a killer reveal. Go with the blood amber with prayer beads, the blood amber with the scratch pearl, and that's what you're good for. Do not run a blood amber with the eroded or the gold token, and don't run the gold or the eroded token with the scratch pearl. It's really not worth it. Maybe if you want to locate survivors. Pretty much the green key is utter shit. It's just shit, because you can't use it on anything. Now, what do we have? Well, what about the rest of the keys? Well, the rest of the keys are strong, but you have to go into them with an idea in mind. So you have the dull key. Now, the dull key has 5 seconds of use. What does that mean? That means you can use it like a green key, but don't. Just don't. What the dull key is good for is it can be used to open the black lock, which is the hatch. This are what the milky glass and the weaved ring are for. If you have a milky glass, When you open the lock, you lose the add-on instead of the key, and you have the weaved ring, where if you die in game, you lose the add-on instead of the key. So this is a good wombo combo. I see a lot of people run where they'll put both of these add-ons on, and they'll go into a game and think they can open the hatch. One problem: Franklin's Demise completely counters this build right here. Completely counter both of these add-ons. Another thing that Franklin's Demise also does, which it makes you drop the key, and the key is useless if it's dropped. The key is just a very annoying thing to deal with as a killer, because anyone finds the hatch, they just open it and get the fuck out, and for 30 seconds you have to camp the hatch. It is very effective in a team game, but it's hard to use effectively. This is where you want to have someone with, like, a rainbow map, someone with a dolo key, someone with a toolbox for gens, and someone with maybe a flashbang. So you've got somebody for a distraction, you got somebody to gen rush, you got somebody to find the hatch, and you got somebody to open the hatch, and everybody gets the fuck out. Now what's the skeleton key? The skeleton key has the same properties of both of these. So it is the equivalent of 3 green keys and 1 dull key put together. It gives you 30 seconds of use, and it gives you the ability to open the lock. The skeleton key becomes a key item if you think about it, because what you're going to be doing with it is you can actually run multiple things. So on a skeleton key, you can run a blood amber and prayer beads, or a prayer rope. You can run the blood amber with the scratch pearl. You can run milky glass and weaved ring, obviously. You can run the gold token. Don't waste eroded tokens on it, though. Like, unless you have nothing else. The skeleton key is very good, but it is a bit of a risk to run, because you can run the risk of consuming the key entirely. This is the problem with the skeleton key and the dull key. If you use the key's power to actually get the reveal effect, and you use it all the way, you lose the key and can't use it to open the lock. And if you open the lock, you can't use the reveal anymore. So it's a kind of a trade-off. I think keys are a bit more situational. I think the rainbow map is superior to them. If we'll talk about flashlight add-ons a little bit, just to give you some perspective. There are a number of flashlight add-ons. Really, they're a mixed bag. You have things like this. They're pretty much give and go. Decrease range, but increase the width. That basically makes it more accurate, but shortens the range. You know, tightens it and makes it more focused, increases accuracy, can add extra batteries and stuff. I have a lot of add-ons on my survivors for flashlight add-ons. The odd bulb is good, where it increases the flashlight battery consumption. This is what you want to add to a green flashlight. I see a lot of people running the odd bulb on the purple one. Don't do that. You want to run this on the green one, and you want to run, like, intense halogen on your purple one. That's the best build. Another great example is running the high-end sapphire lens and the intense halogen on this. Another item you can put on is the long life battery. Pretty much you want to run a focus lens and a low amp filament. One of those two with the odd bulb on the green flashlight. That's your best build for trying to blind the killer. Also, side note, flashlights are good for destroying hag traps. Moving on. So now we are going to talk about the last thing before we get into flashlights and medkits and toolboxes. We're going to talk about the flashbang. I am using Winter Party Starter because I'm actually not a fan of the Chinese firecracker. I don't know why. I just like the Winter Party Starter better. So, the way you want to use a flashbang is quite simple. You can use it as a distraction. You drop it, and it creates an audio effect for the killer, so you could actually be a pretty good distraction if you're willing to burn one early in a game. Another thing of note that I think is pretty important would be, this is mostly good for blinding the killer. So you can blind the killer as they're chasing you and crouch walk and juke away in a chase. Another thing you can use this for is blinding a killer so that you can get someone off a hook. Very effective. Annoying as a killer, but very effective. Good killers can actually track through this pretty well, so don't think that to get out of jail free card. Now we will talk about the medkits. I want to talk about medkits real quick. Brown medkit, fairly standard. Yellow medkit increases the speed that you heal others with more charges. Green medkit really increases the speed that you heal others. increases the charges and then decreases the charge consumption. Purple medkit considerably increases the speed you heal others, increases the skill check success and bonus zones when healing others, and also increases the charges. Now, the purple medkit is obviously the best medkit you can go for, but it's also high risk, high reward. If you don't get to use it, like maybe a Leatherface, a Hillbilly, a Mike, it's not going to help you. There are a lot of medkit add-ons, so we'll start talking about these. Rubber gloves are shit. Decrease the skill check. It basically makes the skill checks bigger. It's not anything good. Don't run it on a higher end one. Basically, your green and purple medkits you want to run good shit on. You want to run all of your yellows and greens. You don't want to run any of your purple or ebony. And you pretty much don't want to run your brown stuff unless you have like a ton of them and you don't have any of these. On your yellow and your browns, that's where you want to be running these, surprisingly. You want to run these on yellows and browns, and pretty much on a brown medkit you can run just about anything, because it's like a one-time use. So, let's start. So, this is good because it slightly increases healing speed. It is outmatched by the self-adherent tape, which adds extra charges and healing speed. The sponge is another shit one like the rubber gloves. Needle and thread and the upgraded version of the surgical suture. This is good if you can handle skill checks. This is not good if you're playing against a doctor and you ran this. I feel bad for you. But this is good for pretty much everybody else. If you can handle your skill check, this is a great thing because you can just go through it so quickly. Medical scissors are the upgrade version of the butterfly tape. That's an all-purpose general good-to-go thing. Gauze roll, upgrade version of bandages. In my opinion, I think this is actually better because the increase in healing speed actually makes up for the fact that you're having 4 less charges, which is 4 less seconds of use. That increased healing speed is pretty important if you can hit a good or a great skill check. And then looking at these two are interesting. So you have the 16 charges, so that basically this will instantly double the amount of charges you get if they're not running something like a Sloppy Butcher. And then the abdominal dressing is great because this considerably increases healing speed, but reduces charges by 25%. Now, there is a workaround to this. So let's say you are running a green medkit. That has 24 charges. So a quarter. What's a quarter of 24? Well, that's 6. So what this does is this reduces the charges by 6. So it's 6 less seconds. So you have 18 seconds. With 18 seconds, you can actually put on the bandages add-on, and you've now restored all of the charges that you lost on this. You can actually put if it's a ranger medkit with bandages and an abdominal dressing, you've actually now completely reversed all of the charges that you lost. Now, I'm going to put on a medkit, a yellow medkit, to show this. These are the ones that are hard to use. So, they reduce the charges. The way they work is very, very simple. If you are healing with one of these add-ons, and the killer hits you, it will consume the entire medkit. Instantly. Plain and simple. If you have this item equipped on a medkit and you are trying to heal with it, you are fucking yourself over. You want to run this on a yellow medkit if you can spare it. More than likely, you want to run this on a brown medkit. You want a brown medkit with an anti-hemorrhage syringe, and you want to start healing with the killer, like, right on you. Let them hit you, and then you get the fuck out of there. That's how it works. That's pretty much how it works. It will not... The way this works is... This works where if you are... This will actually heal you all the way up to full health. Whereas this one... This one will just heal 1 health state, so it'll actually just remove the hit that you took. So basically, you'll still be injured with this, but it's a free hit. It's basically dead hard anytime you want. This takes a lot of skill to use, so I don't recommend it. I have the medkit at the 2 item slot, if you couldn't tell, just because of the fact that self-care is in the game. And you can always have someone else heal you. The medkit's really just good for powering through. Now we're talking about toolboxes. So your basic toolbox slightly increases repair speed, lets you sabotage stuff, 80 charges. You get the upgraded version, which slightly increases that repair speed, gives you more charges. Now this is where things digress. You have the mechanics toolbox, which is the green one, where this moderately reduces sabotage. So this is slower to sabotage, but faster to repair with 80 charges. And the upgrade version, which is the mechanics toolbox, which has no penalty to repair speed, but tremendously increases repair speed. Now, if you're running an engineer's toolbox, you are going to want to do generators, and you're going to want to put a few things on. You're going to want to put on a wire spool, or something like the instructions, where this increases the repair efficiency. What this is actually a combination of the socket swivel add-on, and it actually causes your charges to decrease at a reduced rate. So it's basically a combination of these two, but you actually get more benefit from running these two together. This is the best 1-2 you can get. Once again, spring clamp and the grip wrench are shit. And these 3 are pretty much only for sabotage toolboxes. So you have the Alex, which moderately increases sabotage speed. Slightly increases repair. It is essentially a yellow toolbox, but it's better for sabotages. This is where you want to put the hacksaw on to increase the sabotage speed further, and the cutting wire to increase sabotage further. This is I wouldn't run that. That's not a good add-on. But what you have is a pretty decent toolbox. Then there's the standard for toolbox. This is actually the best toolbox in the game, which is the commodious toolbox, because it increases your repair speed, unlocks sabotage, and gives you 180 charges. You can actually put on a hacksaw with this if you do want to get basically a higher end version of an Alex's toolbox. You can put this on if you're looking for things like that. But this is one of my favorite things in the game. Just to be clear, this is what I call the anti-ruin toolbox right here. Hold on. This is the anti-ruin toolbox. This right here. It's small, it's insignificant, killers aren't going to pay attention, but this is the strongest reveal ability in the game if you are on a generator. See, ruin causes skill checks to fuck up when you're working on gen. You are not affected by ruin with the brand new part. So this is the best add-on in the game for the toolbox in my opinion, because if you hit the generator first, you can let anyone you're in party with know, ruin, find totem, while you just chug through it, because you instantly get 25% of that gen done. If you hit those 2 skill checks, you instantly get it done, and it's fantastic. Mind you, you are not going to benefit from spring clamps. They do not work like that. It is not a repair skill check. It is an install brand new part skill check. 2 completely separate skill checks. I know, it's fucked up. It's like the difference between a normal generator skill check, which has a great skill check and a regular skill check bar, and then a doctor skill check, which is like this. Can you see it? Can you see me right now? I'm playing the world's smallest violin for those people. But this is the best combination you can. So, short synopsis of items. Worst item in the game, green key. Next worst item in the game, green map. Next worst item in the game, I would say, is the rest of the keys. Then I would say the flashlights. Then the rainbow map. Then your flashbangs. Then your medkits and your toolboxes. Hope I gave you enough information. Bye-bye.